The Emperor's New Clothes. Once upon a time, in a land not too far from here, there lived a grand emperor who loved clothes more than anything else in the world. He wasn't concerned much with wars, taxes, or even his people. What mattered to him most was looking splendid every day. The emperor had hundreds of suits and robes. His wardrobe was so large it needed an entire wing of the palace to store it. Every hour of the day, he changed into a new outfit. Some emperors spent time with generals or wise advisors. This emperor spent his days with tailors, talking about silks, buttons, and colors. One day, two strangers arrived in the capital. They claimed to be master weavers who could make the finest clothes anyone had ever seen. But not just fine, magical. They said, "These clothes are woven from a special thread, invisible to anyone who is foolish or unfit for their job." The emperor's ears perked up. Invisible to fools? He thought now. This is perfect. I can finally discover who in my court is wise and who is not. He sent his guards to bring the two weavers to his court. They bowed deeply and showed him colorful sketches of robes and capes. "We shall begin at once, Your Majesty," they said, "but we will need the finest silk, the rarest thread of gold, and a quiet room to work in peace." The emperor was delighted and ordered the treasurer to hand over the materials they asked for. The two weavers were given a room in the palace and began to work, but there was a secret. The looms they set up were empty. There was no fabric, no thread. They pretended to weave all day, moving their arms and nodding as if the cloth were taking shape. Curious to know how the clothes were progressing, the emperor sent one of his oldest advisors to check. The advisor entered the room and saw nothing. The looms were bare. But he didn't want to appear foolish. He cleared his throat and said, "Ah, yes. Magnificent. The patterns are most delicate, the colors splendid." He hurried back and told the emperor, "They are making something truly remarkable, Your Majesty." Days passed. The emperor sent another official. He too saw nothing but empty air. Still, he smiled and praised the weavers for their talent. No one wanted to be seen as foolish. The two weavers asked for more gold and silk, which they secretly packed away. They pretended to weave faster, nodding and humming, pointing at the empty looms as if they were working with the rarest cloth in the world. Finally, the emperor decided he must see the fabric for himself. With his advisors by his side, he entered the weaving room. He squinted, leaned in, looked closely, but of course, he saw absolutely nothing. Yet he thought, if I don't see anything, does that mean I am unfit to be emperor? He laughed nervously and said, "Exquisite. Truly unlike anything I've ever seen." The advisors nodded quickly. "Yes, yes, the threads shimmer like moonlight." The weavers bowed and declared, "Your Majesty, the clothes are ready. Would you like to try them on?" The emperor was taken behind a curtain. He undressed, standing in his undergarments. The weavers pretended to drape the invisible garments over him. "Look how it fits," one said. "So light." "As if wearing nothing at all," said the other. The emperor looked at himself in the mirror and saw nothing, but he nodded seriously. Very comfortable," he murmured. The weaver said, "You must parade through the city, so all your people may admire this marvelous new suit." And so the emperor agreed. A grand parade was announced. Trumpets sounded across the city. People filled the streets to see the emperor's new clothes. When he appeared, everyone gasped. Not because the outfit was beautiful, but because he was walking proudly in his underwear. But the people had heard the stories. They knew only fools couldn't see the clothes. So they clapped and cheered. "How elegant! Marvelous craftsmanship! Never seen such fine robes!" Everyone said something kind, except for one child. A little boy sitting on his father's shoulders shouted, "But he's not wearing anything!" People nearby turned to look. The child's voice rang through the street. Silence followed. Then someone whispered, "The boy is right." Another said, "I see no clothes either." Soon the crowd erupted in laughter. "He really is naked." What a silly sight. The emperor heard the voices. His face turned red. He wanted to run and hide, but he thought, "I must not show weakness." And so he kept walking, head held high, pretending nothing was wrong. Though deep down, he wished he had listened to his own doubts. The two weavers, meanwhile, had already disappeared from the city, taking the gold and silk with them. From that day on, the emperor changed. He no longer spent all his time thinking about clothes. He asked questions about the people's needs. He spoke kindly to farmers and workers. He learned to laugh at himself a little more and listen a little better. And the story of the emperor's invisible clothes was told again and again, not to shame him, but to remind everyone that honesty matters, even when it's hard. Moral of the story: sometimes people pretend to see what isn't there because they're afraid of being judged. But truth, even when spoken by the smallest voice, has great power. The honesty of one child helped an entire city see clearly. So, be kind, be brave, and always stay true to what you know is right, even if you're the only one who sees it.